check out my legs when I stood up. Did you see that?
He's got the shortest
He loves
shorts
it when
of
I
any
wear
grown man.
shorts.
He only wears shorts, and they're like real short.
No, see, he seems to think that it's still 1995 and he should be wearing jams that fall below the knee.
No, I seem to think that like if you were wearing underwear, they shouldn't be lower than your shirt.
Don't be describing me like that, man. I'm not hanging brain.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God, dude. Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. Gary is back, obviously. We didn't even start coming out the gate wrong. All messed up. Manny is going to jump off here. Manny Bains is here. He's joining us from Toronto. Rising Star Movie Experience film director. You've got a lot of credits to your name. Actor, author, entrepreneur, and then had one of those lousy careers like the rest of us before the fun stuff happened in the corporate world. So welcome to the show, Manny.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Gary. It's an honor, pleasure, and absolute privilege to be with you guys. And I think we're going to have some fun today based on the pre-interview stuff. You guys would be fun guys to go out for a drink with, man. You guys are hilarious. So
we try. I try.
Something that you have to live with. It's a curse and it's a blessing. It gets you out of a lot of invites, dude, which is grand. It's kind of like I watched a sitcom the other day where this guy was, every time someone came over, like his wife's friends came over that he didn't like, when she would leave the room, he'd raise up his shirt and like rub his belly and like comment on it and do weird things so that they would never come back. Just creating it. His wife didn't know why they weren't coming back and they were leaving so quickly. But it's because he's just doing weird stuff anytime she left.
Had like really short shorts on, probably too. Like really short.
My God, dude. Gary, how's it out in Vegas right now?
It's good. It's getting warm. It's nice. It's like the perfect time of year. Like the tourism's pretty low. The weather's pretty nice. Like everything's like pretty smooth. So this is like the 2 months where Vegas is perfect every year. And then it just gets hot as hell. But it's good.
I stepped out earlier here and you can taste the air. Air has flavor in Florida after a certain degree of heat and humidity. And that's when you know to just go back indoors during those months because you don't want to taste the air.
And there's 9 of those months.
Right.
A lot of tourists, eh? I don't know.
Oh, my God. Definitely for Gary.
Oh, the Canadians are like, they start coming down about this time of year, right? No, or they leave. They come in the winter time, I guess, in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too cold here. Too cold.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Manny, tell me about yourself. Let's hear about this career. How did you get into working in film?
And that's a great question.
From your prior career, tell me about that transition. Where were you and where are you now?
Okay, that's a great question, Jay. So basically, my journey started off basically, like you said, I was in the corporate world, doing a job that's like, okay, it's okay, pay is okay, but I wasn't fulfilled, right? You guys might know best. You're not fulfilled. You want something more out of life. I don't know what it is. Is it my soul? Is it my whole being is just saying, man, you need to do, there's more to life than this. And I'm like, yeah, there's more to life than this. And, I just got involved in like self-development. I think that was a cool thing. Went on a, personal growth journey, started attending seminars, workshops, like really getting into that self-development. And then from there, I just took a jump. I became like a coach for other people. Then I started hanging around with entrepreneurs. Everybody was writing books. Now I've written 3 books. I'm very grateful. This is my book here, Switch to Working on Live with Monthly Cash Flow. Here's my other book, Master Your Universe, 11 Universal Rules for Success. And my book, Attract Money Faster. So I was just like, it's just a blessing that I was able to get into this realm. And then a lot of people writing books. And so I said, okay, well, what's another way we can get our message out? We just wrote this book, Switch. So me and my business partner were like brainstorming. He goes, okay, well, what if we create a documentary film? Because we go to masses are more likely to watch video. And then we created our first documentary called Break Free, which is like showing people how they can take a different path for their finances. I'm interviewing people on the street in Toronto, getting their financial IQ, which is just interesting. It's amazing to see how much we weren't taught about that subject.
Don't do that where I came from, man.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, that would be a skit for like SNL if you did that where I came from.
It was the amount of answers you get and the different variations. Like, we're like, what is cash flow? And someone's like, cash flow. What is cash flow? Like, but it's just amazing to see how much, education we get in school, but then, on something as valuable as that topic, money, we
The
don't get it.
lenses are so different amongst society with financial literacy. Everybody has a different experience with money, their love affair with it, where their hierarchy of needs come from with regard to money. It's such an intricate thing.
Yeah.
And it has masks that go with it. It's super bizarre. And the literacy part of it is people trying to understand through somebody else's lens. Like, you see how people portray money.
Yeah.
So you assume that if you have the goods or the level of position or whatever affluency that you have, that is going to give you the happiness that you've been trying to attain through money. But you don't realize that that's a false front. It's kind of like going through the suburbs. It's like the old Western sets. Everything's a house. Everybody comes out and waves and leaves like Edward Scissorhands. But behind the wall, they're all crying in heaps, just dead. And nobody's just raising their hand and going, can we take time out? Like, everybody, can we stop playing for a minute and just admit we're all fucked right now?
Yeah.
But I love that you approach that and you give people the lenses to see that there's different ways to handle finances, to empower themselves, to be able to prove whatever their passion is. Because that's what I believe. You bankroll your passion, whatever your talent is. If you can't use your talent to make money, then you use your talent to make money. If it's not something that's an art that you create otherwise, you use that money to bankroll it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So from there, I said, wow, this is amazing. Like, look at the amount of, impact we created. And then from there, I started the Rising Star movie experience, where I create high quality documentary films to create social change on a global scale and to brand entrepreneurs through the power of film. That's how it was created, Jay. And, from there, I've just created, a couple other films. I got a health and wellness film coming out this year. And then next year, I got a mental health film coming out. So it's just a way for me to spread, like good things to the world, and just make people aware of certain issues in our society that I think that,
like in your film Fear.
Yeah. So
I watched it, by the way. I thought it was amazing. It's such an inspirational story and take on cultural diversity and inaccuracies and the lenses that we get. I firmly believe that one of the most difficult things between societal divides is language and culture, in that no definition exists for the same feeling in either culture the same. There may be words in one culture for something that they put a definition to, a feeling, an understanding, or some other thing that doesn't even exist in yours. So when they're arguing their position, you're never going to understand it because you've never given that feeling a word.
But it's interesting. It doesn't, no, and that's totally great. That's amazing that you watched it. But, I feel like, Jade, it doesn't matter where you're from, what country you're from, what language you speak.
Agreed.
When you get down to the basic part of it, we're all going through the same thing. We're all human beings. We're all going through the same thing. We all have challenges. We all have things that we're trying to go through. So, yes, we speak different languages and we look different, but we're all going through the same thing, man. That's it.
I 100% agree with you.
Sit down with somebody, it changes quickly. I always say, like, if you say you hate gay people, I doubt you ever had a beer with a gay person. If you say you hate black people, you probably never kicked it with a black person. If you sit down with somebody and that you supposedly hate and just chop it up, have a beer, talk about some commonalities, like, everybody wants the same shit. They want to be happy. They want their family to be safe. Exactly. I think, when you get all your information from the talking box in the room and the echo chamber that everybody's in, I think then you start to hate people that you don't know. But when it gets down to it, just like you said, like,
through somebody else's eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
why would you hate somebody you don't even know in a culture when you haven't even learned about? It's just that you've been conditioned by that, by whoever raised you, right? At the end of the day, we can learn so much from other people's cultures, right? Embrace
100%.
it. I'm blessed in Toronto, like where we are, it's like
Very
fully
diverse.
multicultural, like very diverse. Like everybody's just from everywhere around the world. So because of that, it's kind of a strength in a way. Of course, there's pros and cons, and there's obviously racism and stuff that exists. But as a whole, we get to learn from different people. We got people from different different skill sets. They can bring that innovation, different way of thinking into companies. I think it's just a strength to embrace diversity. And I think a lot of companies now are becoming aware of, okay, we need to make our company diverse because they bring so much new innovation, new ideas, and can help us grow in the long run.
When Gary loves that I use analogies, and there's two of them I want to use here, and one is going to be soup, Gary. You can't serve soup to yourself every single day if you don't take on the seasonings of other cultures and diversities. They bring change to your soup. And that also comes with caution. Don't put anything in your soup you don't want to eat for life, because it's going to be there. You can't unseason your soup. So pick and choose wisely. That's why creators have that onus, like I always say, Gary, to put out good shit, right? Because people are going to donate you their mindful moment. They don't use it for themselves. We've given it away as a society. We've given that time to somebody else, the creator. The creator is the one putting something together that they're going to consume for that moment. And if you're not putting something out that is going to affect change or help them get through something or make this world better, then you need to check yourself and understand that you are actively taking away an opportunity to exercise your talents and passions the correct way. I believe that through and through, and we grow to a mold. I believe that those people that have the bigotry and the lens of, scarcity, or the lens of some kind of divide with gender, equality or something like that. I believe that we grow from one particular shape into a mold, right? Rather than our full potential or self. So if we were be given that mold to lay over us and grow to it, it could be two different faces, but neither are even your own, because you weren't given the ability to grow and understand without some kind of constraint, implicit bias, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. You're the most wisest man, Jay. You're the wisest American I know and the most open. No,
I sincerely doubt that, dude.
Well, no,
you just insulted all of America. I love this.
Yeah, I feel insulted personally.
You need to make a book called Jayism, because that soup analogy was great. No, I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. But yeah, it's amazing, right? How you said, cultures have certain biases. But I like what you said about the creators, right? Think about all these people right now that are on Instagram and Facebook, right? We become a world of influencers and creators, but how are you using that? Yes, you can use it to make silly videos, which is okay, but are you using that power for good and for change? Because you know what? People are they're hungry for knowledge. People are hungry for things to improve their life on. And the more people that we have that are creating stuff that can, open different conversations, empower people, show people how they can change and improve their life. I think we're on our way to kind of, making the world a slightly better place.
I think you're going to make it an amazing place. I'd like to kind of take a moment and point out what I think is, I hate the word byproduct, an additional gain from what it is that you do. I feel like when we are allowed to be our authentic selves, we're not creating a mask. We're creating a non-ego related personality, the one that we know we have the potential of being, right? We have that in our mind, this level of personal self-fulfillment, self-worth, what we're going to look like in front of everybody, what we want to portray when we leave this world, all those things, right? And you're making that through your endeavor, right? You're giving people that voice. You're giving them, a chance to tell their story. You're giving them a chance to leave a legacy or show what's not on a resume or not, in their background. But I think that it's also creating a benchmark of mindfulness, because if anybody takes the time to put that much into their character and their story, now they have an issue anytime they are not living to that expectation. If they can check themselves in any moment and say, is this a person that's in that film? Then I'm doing well. But if I'm not, I might want to figure out what caused me to stray. Is it okay? Is this another chapter in the film? That's all right. But if I'm not fulfilling the expectations that I wanted everybody to see of me, then it might be a moment where I can sit down on my ass and meditate on it. So I think you're giving people that ability to recognize their worth at any given moment in time after they've had this doc done.
I wish, Jay, can I hire you as a sales guy? You would be amazing. But I mean, I think you nailed it. Because you know what, for Fear, it was a low budget film. We had 3 actors. I think we told the story in a way. We told the story in a way. It won over 35 awards from film festivals all over the world. Our most recent one is a semi-finalist from Cannes Continental Film Festival. But yeah, you're right. I got all the success, but what I realized when we launched it and she's watched, it was a healing experience for her. It was a healing. It allowed her to take something that was buried inside of her. Think about how much that was eating up inside of her and just causing all these things.
Liberating
To release it on the big screen. That's why Fear was the perfect name for it. Face everything and rise. Now she's out there. Now the world gets to see her message. The world is like, wow, I didn't know you were like that. And now she's getting all this respect. Her whole life has changed just from doing the film. And that's what is so powerful, right? That's what I'm basically offering people. An opportunity to give themselves a huge transformational experience on all levels, not just for branding and for business, but to, like you said, a chance to live their authentic self and get what is being buried inside of them and bring it to the world. Because I think everybody has a film in them, Jay. Really, everybody. Look at every human being.
Everybody's been watching a film. You tell me that life is not a film.
It is 100%. And you're the director. You can write your own script. Most people are extras in their own movies, Jay.
It's all choose your own adventure.
Yes.
It's always choose your own adventure, like the books. It's you that's picking your destiny every single time. If you keep running into shitty shit, guess what? You're looking for shitty shit. You're thinking about shitty shit. That's it. Yeah. That's the only reason why you're showing up on that doorstep every day shaking hands with it. You've got to figure out why it keeps showing up because you haven't learned your lesson yet.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's just beliefs, right? If like you said, life, you said it's a movie, it's a game, it's an adventure. But if somebody maybe sees life as a test, they're going to have a totally different experience. So it's what you believe, right? For you and I, it's a game and an adventure and every day's play. But for someone who thinks life is a test, they're going to be anxious. They're going to, what if I fail? What if I pass? So it's really those deep beliefs in them that they have to address, and they have to be able to see things from a new light, for sure.
It's almost like a form of cognitive behavioral therapy on screen for a person that's going through this transformative process, because it has to be someone that's in a self-aware scenario. So I'm curious, have you had people come to you that want you to tell their story and have laid out who they are, and maybe you can see, obviously, artists, creators, they have the ability to see inauthenticity, right? Have you had someone come to you and have you tried to create an inauthentic viewpoint of that person? Or if you did, how would you approach that?
No, I mean, you know what? I've had some people briefly kind of talk to me, but we've never done a film on inauthentic people.
No, I'm not saying that you've done one, dealing with someone that misrepresents who they are, or you believe they might not be who they're trying to say they are. Do you help them find themselves? Or Yeah.
Yeah, I think in an interview, when you're interviewing somebody one-on-one for hours, they can only be fake for so long. Me and my team drill them with so many questions, because don't forget, when people are answering the first, half an hour, it's all surface, right? It's all ton of, and me and my director were talking about, my fellow like production person was talking about this for the next film. We're like, everybody wants to show up and kind of say the right thing, right? And be prim and proper. But it's like, that's not where the meat lies. That's not where the juice lies, right? So we got to go in and I'm the nice guy. I have a production guy. He's more of a bad cop that if I can't dig in, he jumps in and we really ask them question after question, dig deep and deep till we get what we want out. Because like you said, most people are wearing a mask and they want to project what they think is going to be right. That doesn't make for good film. We want to get down into the emotional part of what's really going on. And yeah, it may be uncomfortable. Like Annie in Fear, she started crying, but you know, you have to sometimes bring the pain.
But that's when you know it's real. Gary's got a lot of experience in this particular world. I'd love to hear your take on it, because after almost 20 years of interviewing, you know, UFC fighters, you've got so much time behind the camera, sitting on that side, interviewing those guys. Please share.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar, you know, especially when we do casting. Everybody's got a character that they're trying to play, but it's the tough guy or the nice guy or the heel, or they kind of, especially a show like The Ultimate Fighter that went for 40 seasons. It's like people watched it and they're like, I don't want to be that guy, but they actually are that guy, or they do want to be this guy. So they come in and they have this character, and quickly, because we've done it for a long time, we could tell what they're doing. And you know, my old boss was one of the best at just pissing people off, or like finding that thing that would get like their real reaction. So they'd be, nah, no one's going to bother me. Like, I'm just going to go work hard and train. And he would know the one thing to say to him, and they'd switch and get super pissed at him. But he was doing it on purpose to see, like, is that person going to be real? Like, what, you know, what pushes their buttons? What, you know, gets them emotional? And I think
are they a liability?
Yeah. That too.
I mean, at the end of the day, you've got a whole house full of fighters. You want to know who's got the lowest threshold for popping off.
Yeah, we want to just get the real story, you know, and when we interview them before a fight, like, you know, if you're scared, I want you to tell me you're scared. If you think you're going to lose, you know, like, process it, don't hold it in. If you're uber confident, if you're cocky, like whatever it is, I want to hear that. I don't want to hear the same canned answer of like, you know, when I walk into that cage, it's like a switch. I'm a nice guy, but you don't want to, you know, you're part of me. And, you know, like, we don't want to hear that again. You know, if it's the truth, which it is for most, cool, but give us your truth, you know?
I think we've been taught to mask our emotions and hold in what we're really feeling, you know? We've been so conditioned. And it's like, guys, it's okay sometimes to tell people how you feel. Okay, it may be vulnerable, but it's better than you just living a fake life, you know? And there's so many fake people out there. It's just, we have to step back into our true power. I feel like, guys, it's time.
Yeah. You ever
documentaries are good.
What's that?
I was going to say documentaries are great because in a way it's like, it's a Trojan horse, you know, you're like teaching, but you not necessarily might not even know you're looking to learn. Like, you're watching something to be entertained. And then you sneak that message or, you know, that point of view in the back door, and people don't even really realize that, you know, what's going on.
Yeah. Well, we go to
comes with intent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we go to watch films to be inspired, to be scared, to be entertained. Within documentaries, it's to learn something, right? But it is a task because, you know, we just filmed a health and wellness film, and, you know, again, it's like you're taking experts, right, who are in like. So the film's on all natural, like healing, how people can heal themselves through natural holistic methods. So we got like holistic practitioners from different fields, and them coming in and having to coach them on how to perform on camera is like a whole different thing because they're just used to, you know, dealing with, you know, in their practice. Now, as soon as the camera's on them, they like freeze, and it's like, it's totally takes them out their game. So it's definitely a skill in trying to, you know, get them relaxed and trying to bring out their authentic message, for sure.
That's like a huge tell into how much of an egotistic persona you have in life. And egotistic, not the definition that they create. I mean, the actual definition of a persona that you've created to navigate life. If a camera shows up and you instantly need to be everything but what you are in that moment, you should know that you're not being authentic in life. It's an immediate tell. If that camera locks your ass cheeks together and you suddenly become Mr. Whatever Man, then you have been holding up your chest for fucking way too long. Like, I don't understand how people can even hold those personas for so long. Well, actually, I can. I used to do that in my own versions and different ways throughout life. I think we all do it, but that puffed out chest, man, that's a real thing.
Yeah, most people are nervous about around the camera for the first time, whether they want to be perfect or they don't want to say the wrong thing, or, they're just, they start thinking all the negative things of like, oh shit, what if I slip up? Or what if just TV and documentaries sometimes aren't like the most righteous. So they'll take things out of context and people have seen that. So I think until you make them comfortable, they see you have good intentions and you're there for the right reasons.
You got to warm them up. Like, that's what I find. They need some time to just talk. Even like, so I had to, with one person, pretend that we weren't even rolling. So I would get that authentic response. I'd have to be like, okay, we're turning the camera off, and like, would just push a button and just so they would just think that, okay, the camera's not on me, but we were still rolling just because they were so tense and so nervous. Like, you got to do what you got to do to get the footage sometimes. But yeah, I think it's, being an actor, I can say that it's easier said than done, especially when you do auditions and you're especially in front of people and you have to do stuff. Something about the mind, it just, like you say, we have this billion-year-old mind that wants to protect us and keep us safe. Yep. All of a sudden, we're in that vulnerable space. We just get nervous and anxiety.
We're kids. We're instantly a child in the nightmare in our underwear in front of a class, raw, standing there with everybody looking at us in that moment. And it sucks. That's a shitty place to stand. When in all reality, it's the way you're intended to be made. In reality, you should always be that person, because then you don't have to carry all the gear and masks and BS throughout life that are going to make you hit the ground, over and over, or when you're 40, right? Leave that behind you. Be your personal best. Be your authentic self. And I'm not talking about acting. I'm just saying in life, being your authentic self allows you to not have to carry any of that extra baggage and to be anything but yourself. I always say it, Gary, slap in the face of whomever or whatever created you.
Yeah. Well, people, it comes down to the fear, right? The fear of judgment, fear of criticism, that's it. Once I've been working on this, like I've been cracking at this for years. And
that's what this show has been for me.
You can't think about it. We live our lives based on what other people think. And when I really started to analyze that belief, why am I living my life based on a person who's not even thinking about me, who I don't even know, I haven't seen them for 20 years, on what they think about me is ludicrous. It's insane.
It's absolutely ludicrous. We will live to the vision of another person's eyes that we have no idea that they don't even care we exist. There's a huge tell when you go to the office, 10 days in a row. Everybody on those 10 days look in their closet and they get dressed and they pick out their outfits every single day, and then you go in, you meet your friends, and they do these things, these weird rituals where if I picked one thing in particular, I'm going to compliment your shirt. You're going to compliment me on what I thought that you might see to give me the compliment on. It's weird, right? That should tell you there. But here's the biggest tell. When you go home, can you remember what anybody else was wearing?
Their shoes.
Neither can they. They don't remember what anybody else was wearing. It was all for them the entire time, except for like Bob that always has the pit stains, right? You don't remember shit about what anybody else is wearing.
Yeah.
You don't care because you invested all your time into that. Well, guess what? They did all that too. They don't remember that you had that nice Lacoste shirt that you had picked out, that you were going to have that conversation where you complimented their shoes. Nope. Guess what? You did that all for naught.
I can tell you every pair of shoes any coworkers ever worn in the last 20 years. You can tell a lot by somebody's shoes.
Said Forrest Gump.
Yeah. You can tell.
It's true.
I think when we started talking about financial literacy and stuff like that too, I think a lot of it starts with the school system. Like, for one, they don't want you to know certain things because they're trying to raise a working class of people, doers, like listeners and not entrepreneurs. And then it's also like they're putting us in this cookie cutter frame, like sit here, regurgitate this, look forward, don't show too much creativity, like don't be yourself, be one of the masses, just be student number 35.
Make more cars.
100%. And Gary, if you think about the school system, it is an indicative of what their life will be when they're an adult. Think of it. You're a kid playing in the playground before school. All of a sudden, what happens with the bell? Ding, 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 ding. You rush to the classroom to not be late, to sit down and not talk and look at the figurehead of the teacher. Is basically indicative of what's going to happen when they're in a job. Same thing. Don't want to be late.
How many hours a day? Take your homework home. That's your overtime. That you're getting you comfortable with in advance that, there's going to be days where your work isn't going to end at 8 hours. You're going to have some extra shit to do. Get that one down. Make sure that's stuffed in there. All those things are designed to make you a widget maker. Make more widgets for us. Sit, make widgets. Whatever the widget is, that's what you define it. But all it is teaching you how to be compliant for 8 hours, or now in like 18 hours if you're in the corporate world, whatever they're at now.
It's all conditioning. But I think the thing is we don't want to like totally bash people that have jobs. It's fine. You have a job, you have stuff to do. But what I was taught is that your job is not your business. So have a job. But you know what? There's 8 hours a day. You got a whole other 8, time after work to start a side hustle or do something or learn yourself. And that's what people don't know. Your job is not your business. And if you think about it, guys, a company in any day can let you go. That's a perfect world.
That's a perfect world. It is attainable. Some people do have a God-given talent or passion that will, in fact, have monetary value. There are those that exist out there. However, if you're not in that group of people, and your passion is not something that's going to immediately pay off, do that 8-hour job and then use that money to fund that passion, whatever it is. Most likely it's something you wanted to do since you were a kid.
Why would you put off something that you want to do in life? I think that's the thing. And let me share a secret with you guys.
Because you'll fail.
Was doing it. I had a limiting belief. Like I always wanted to do music and sing, right? But I never had the self-confidence or belief. And as I've been working on my personal growth for the past 7 years, I literally just put out a song like 3 weeks ago. It's on Spotify.
Congratulations.
And I just felt liberating that like I did this. This is something that I wanted to do since I was a kid, man. And then you just kept analyzing it, right? Like I always look at this. I'm like, what's the 90-year-old version of me, Manny, in a rocking chair who can't move, who is not able-bodied? He's going to look back. It's not the things that I did. It's the things that I didn't do. And just playing that over and over. Okay, just screw it. I used harsher words, but screw it. I'm just going to do this and just let myself be vulnerable, and who cares? And it's an amazing
freedom. You're talking to two people that went into music as well with no background and have released things within the last couple of years as well. Gary is a music producer. He raps. He's done all sorts of things in music. Helped other people produce their albums. I myself produce music based on people that have been on the show. That's a talent that I didn't know I had. And it's what brought me a lot of personal growth through creating art in that timeless space. Once I found that existed, you could find yourself in tears making music alone without any need for anybody else to be there. And that was the moment that, I was able to find myself and start to express myself. So knowing that you were able to step up to a mic, uninhibited and be you is amazing to hear. You can hear the excitement in your voice. Gary, you want to tell us what it's like when you make music?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to go back to when you're 12 years old. Like, what did you want to be, And maybe you can't be an astronaut or something like that, but like you could spend time learning or like get in that field somehow. And the music thing like was my dream until my mid-20s, and I put everything into it and it just didn't work out. And it was heartbreaking, over and over again. And then I just decided to give it up completely. And then, during COVID is really when I got back into it, and it was just like, hey, like I don't have to. I was trying to put what I loved into somebody else's box and like make it my business. And people always say like, find the thing you love and make it your job. You'll never work a day in your life. I disagree 100%. I think that will ruin the thing that you love more times than not. Personally, like if I have to make money off of my art, it's the only way to support myself, then I'm going to have to compromise my art constantly. And be criticized on it to someone's standards that aren't my own. And me personally, I can't do that. If I had to make music for other people and it was my only way to feed myself, I would fucking hate music again. So that's just personal. But
that's
if I can
creating
do
to
the other
somebody
things,
else's ideals. Of course,
right,
that would happen every time.
And I
We see
personally
artists
can't
burn out
compartmentalize
constantly.
it. Yeah, I can't make music for this person and money and then make I couldn't do that. Some people can make jingles and commercial music and then go make their own thing. I couldn't do it. So, but when I get in the zone, and I have ADHD and, I'm unmedicated, but the music and stuff like that is the medication, and I could get hyper focused on that. 8 hours goes by and I've just sat here, getting that one beat just right, or, remixing that one song or
over
the vocals or whatever. And
me and Gary got to collab on the next track. I think there's maybe there's something in the future there. But what
I'm down. I do it.
It's expression, guys. That's it. Our spirit is for fuller expansion and more expression. It's not me that wanting to do it. It's something inside of me is wanting to come out. It's just the spirit, man. Our soul is for more expansion
over a flame.
and fuller expression. We have to do it. If we don't, we'll be hurting ourselves. And if you think about it, guys, that suppression leads to depression, which leads to anxiety, which leads to dis-ease, which leads to disintegration. So a party, you almost got to get it out. Otherwise, that shit's going to lead to more stuff down the road,
All malaise is related to the experience of not being yourself, not living to your fullest potential. Anytime you're repressing who you are, you're damaging yourself internally over and over, mentally, physically, across the board, spiritually. You're designed to be a flame that never goes out. And for some reason, we create a glass at about a certain age and we hand it to a child and we say, no, don't let this shine too bright because somebody might judge you.
It's the worst advice. Those people should be put to jail. I mean, if you think about it, right?
But there's so many methods with which it's done.
Oh, 100%.
Don't talk in this scenario. Be demure. Act confident.
And those are the real criminals. I mean, it's conditioning, right? How we're raised by our parents. Yeah. But think about all the criminals that are in jail. But think about all the dream killers that walk free and are killing people's dreams every single day.
Yeah.
There needs to be a charge against those people, right? And
there is a dream killed for everyone behind those bars because they were all children. There is
never
not
got
a single person in there that didn't have a dream at one point. That is a tragedy. That children were led to a lifeline that never allowed them to realize that they had that perfect capability from jump.
Yeah.
Sorry, to be honest. People just need to be honest with their kids, with their friends, everybody.
I just pooped in the soup.
Yeah. But it's good. People need to hear it, though.
It's
they need to know.
It's a fake world, man. And my partner said this. Everybody's being fake, and we're just trying to live into this ideal, what we think is normal, and society has told us to, do this, do that. But it's all bullshit, man. It's fine, but like you said, Jay, if it compromises that authentic self, you're just gonna slowly die. You're never gonna be 100%. Fulfilled in life.
Oh man, and you're gonna repeat the tour on the rock. Right? You're just going to keep doing this over and over again until you realize that you're already in heaven. I feel like that's the release. When you get around the rock enough times and figure out that you're actually in heaven, that's when you get to move on to a different reality. Just one of the many theories that I have. But you think about it. You keep doing this over and over again, and you're not going to be fulfilled until you learn that it was already right. And I challenge anybody to tell me that Earth is not heaven minus people.
Yeah.
Me. I think we don't know what's next. So.
We're cancer for the planet in every way, shape, or form. Remove us. This is heaven.
Well, I think we can create heaven on earth. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead, Gary.
I believe it is.
Yeah. I think it's exactly that. We don't know what's next. Whatever belief you have, it's up to you, but nobody really knows. So if you don't make the best of where you're at now and, try to live the dreams and spend the time with your family and do all these things that, you're hoping for in some sort of eternal life, make those things happen to the best of your ability now, just in case, you're having singing and dancing with your family, go sing and dance with your family, if you
Laugh
want
until
to
it
build
hurts.
yeah,
In public.
it's and this is going to maybe sound racist in like a certain way, but you know, I had a friend doing like some man on the street stuff around Vegas. So it was like kind of a comedy magic thing. And like they went out on the first day and like nobody laughed and like they were like, stiff, you know? And I'm like, do you find any like 35 to 55-year-old black women out there? And they're like, like the check, like, no. And I'm like, in my experience, those people are very free with their emotions. Like they will laugh, they will like be open. Where you find a bunch of stiff, stuffy white people, like their cameras on them, they're gonna want to like act stiff and stuffy. And it's like, you know, and the next day I'm like, go to like check the boxes, go to Asian people, black people, Mexico, try to find one of everybody and just see like who's giving you the best reactions. And it was like white women were the worst, white men were the second. And then like from there, it went to like people laughing and being free and joking. And I'm like, something about like, I don't know, it's like where you grow up or, you know, and I'm going off all the way on like a tangent,
but you're not wrong. There are cultures or races that have a lot more freedom within themselves to be themselves. I think that comes from a lot of self-soothing as a community, as a whole. You're not given the ability to, you're not given the opportunity to do anything for yourself except for within your own home, right? Or within your own community. And that's the only place you're allowed to be yourself, right? And if you're allowed to be yourself long enough, then I think we saw this with COVID. I think a lot of people changed because they were allowed to be themselves for so long in isolation. But I think that in those situations, I hate saying they and them and weird words like that. But I have, my friends that I was very fortunate to be invited to a wedding and was a groomsman in my friend's wedding. And there's probably like 100 people there I didn't know at the time. And out of the 100 people, there were 13 groomsmen and I was one of them. And at the reception is when I figured out that I was the only white guy there. And I was in Chicago. And I can't tell you that I had more fun, more love, and more acceptance in that time than I've ever had in my life. That community lives and loves so hard with every bit of their soul. And I love watching a group of people that have just a fit laughing next to people who want to laugh, but are too stifled in life, so much so that they will look down on them for laughing hard. Because what they don't realize is the one that's judging a group of people that are just laughing like all fucking hell and back, they're the ones losing the opportunity to have that release and that fun. We see that community all the time. That's why the expression in those moments when you pick that particular person to be the reactor to that, because they're going to be honest about it. They've already been themselves for so long. I don't give a shit what we think out here, right? Why would they?
See
Like,
Americans
look at
compared to
church.
Canadians. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in. You guys don't give a shit what people think, and it's so refreshing when you go over there. Like, if somebody doesn't like you or does something, you're gonna tell you, and that's the problem with Canadians. They're a little nice. They beat around the bush, so they'll be nice to you and fake behind your back. It's just right.
Oh,
that's
here
the
too.
difference.
It is here too.
Okay.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
it's
in the South.
100%.
There's a
In
lot
the
of fake
South,
politeness in the South.
Bless your heart. If you
Yeah,
ever
like
say bless your heart, you know that it's implied that you're a little bit special, and they are looking down on you in that moment for what you're not able to do. Bless your heart.
I think there's a good
Not
mix of both. You know, like Canadians are maybe overly polite and like Americans are overly rude a lot. So I think like where you're dealing with like the server or like customer service people and stuff like that, you should probably be more polite. But like when it's time to like express how you really feel about things, then there's probably like more openness that's like needed. I think that, you know, you go to Canada, people are like, you very rarely see someone like cussing out the sales, like the waitress or the hostess or the person at the airline or something like that, where you see that here like every day. And then it's like also like they
When's
maybe
that gonna
just
happen?
like,
Because it can only be capped for so long. The amount of consumption that we have, not to mention that you're riding the Broncos back. You got the U.S. underneath you, and you guys are right here getting us jumping around beneath you. Eventually, your hat's going to fly off, and somebody's going to start fucking cussing. It's gonna happen.
It's coming. I'm sure it's coming. But yeah,
Canadians have a great sense of humor, though. Like we've had so many Canadians on the show, and like, I have so many Canadian friends. Like it's like a mix between American and like British humor almost. It's like they get the dry, like witty stuff, and they also get like the dick and fart jokes too. Like
and
I feel like
amazing comedy comes out of Canada too.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
amazing talent. Yes, but I love
like
this. I love that we're
Kenny.
talking about, you know, authentic self, what's holding people back. And like you said, it doesn't matter where you're from. We're all the same. We all have the same aspirations for happiness.
We really do. We really do. And I wish that people would understand that we are better diversified.
Yeah, they do a good job of dividing us apart, though, right? For whatever means we can say.
We can't talk to each other.
They want to keep
if we all compare notes, like that's bad. You know, if all the poor black people, poor white people, and everybody got together and like, hey, they're fucking us. Yeah, they're fucking us the same way.
This is socioeconomic? Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's not like not our fault or your fault. They got them like pointing, you know, everybody down here in the working class, like they convince us to point fingers at each other, never point it up, you know, to the people that have created the, you know, the playing field. And I think that's happening now. And we're seeing, you know, down here at least, I don't know about Canada, but we're seeing a lot of pushback from a lot of people here that are like, definitely were on the right or definitely on the left their whole life that are really starting to like question it. Like, why? You know, why are we just giving this side our vote? And why are we just assuming they have our best interests, you know, in mind? Now it's people are starting to really like dig in and say like, hey, why is shit like this? Where's the money going? Where's the intent?
Transparency.
You know, behind these. Yeah.
And I think the more people that can think like that and ask those questions, the more it's going to facilitate that dialogue. Like, let's just think about the food, for example, right? They're pushing out the food that they want because people buy it. I'm just saying, what if people all of a sudden just started to shift to different food consumption? The companies would have no choice but to adapt to the needs of the consumers. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight.
Too bad they're making addictive products.
What's that?
It's too bad they're making addictive products. You're not going to curb your consumption if that's giving you your fix every time. You know, there's a reason Little Debbie's in business because somebody's changing into them fucking cakes.
Yeah, it's definitely changing, maybe slowly, but you know, when we grew up, there was no like places with healthy food options, hardly at all, let alone smoothie shops or, you know, vegan or vegetarian or whatever different types. Like when we were kids, it was like pizza and like fast food and like the one Chinese joint that was owned by Koreans.
Is that available to a lower socioeconomic bracket? I mean, the organic foods, the healthy stuff. I'm genuinely curious because I grew up with food insecurity and we weren't going to get anything that wasn't like a white label with a black lettering on it. So it was process this or process that. It just said cheese. It didn't have anything fancy on it.
You grew up in Russia in 1975?
No, dude. I grew up in South Florida on Medicaid, WIC, or not, they didn't have WIC back then, food stamps. You peeled it out of a booklet and you walked to the store and tried to buy a fucking candy bar with it without looking embarrassed.
Yeah, I remember this.
Well, I did notice difference when I was in Chicago airport to LA airport. Chicago was all just like hot dogs, fast food. At least in LA, there was like, you know, what is it, Freshie or some other things. So I definitely think, depending on your
Chicago food, though, man. Chicago food is so good. I lived there for 2 years on the Loop, 9th and State, and we had a Lou Malnati's in our building. And I swear to God, man, they delivered to my door. I I could watch my waistline grow over the weeks. Like you could measure my pizza, like every time I ordered out. And then we had Devil Dogs downstairs. We had 11 City Diner, all within like spitting distance of each other right there in our building. So Chicago food, oh.
Yeah, it's not what you want to be on a diet.
Hell no. The Midwest has the best food.
But that's the thing, they've done a great job on just, like you said, just controlling us and making people addicted to things, like basically making choices that aren't for their best interest. We all do it. We all fall privy to it. But I mean, that's what you got. That's why awareness is so key, to just be like, well, hold up, man. What choices? My life today is based on all the choices I made. Every single choice I made has brought me here today.
Mm-hmm.
So what different choices can I start to make to make a better, more positive future for myself, And it comes with that awareness. But if people are just so dumbed down, so focused on watching TV, so focused on like the trivial things of life, like people care more about certain trivial things than how they're going to improve their own life, But
because they're afraid of failing. We do not believe in ourselves so much so that we will put our head in the dirt like an ostrich just so we don't have to look around and get criticized when we trip and fall over and over again, getting to our greatness.
Right. And the failure or success is like defined by somebody else too. So it's like, I might feel like 100%. I failed, but that's because somebody else's standards, say that I failed. But like, to me, I think when we first started talking, about your past career, you didn't say exactly what it was, but you said like it was okay. You had a good career. It was all right. You didn't say I hated it. It was terrible. But like, I think that's like worse sometimes. Like I would say like being is like the worst, because if your life sucks, like you might change it or be forced to change it. If your life's great, you don't need to. But if you're like okay, you could be okay for 30 years and then realize like
that's the donkey with a carrot and a stick. Always moving forward, trying to get that fucking proverbial prize. Man, that would suck.
Or just like, hey, my life's pretty good. Like my boss is okay. I make a good enough money. I could go to Florida for 5 days a year, go see the mouse. Like I don't really I don't go too high or too low.
That's the danger of mediocrity. And it's so easy to be mediocre and to just say, hey, I'm going to kick back. I got an okay life. But that over time will erode. You can't stay mediocre forever. It's going to erode at some point and erode yourself. So I feel like there has to be something more that you're striving to, every year, every day. There's got to be something that you want to do. Even if it's just, I want to walk an extra block around, my neighborhood. Something like human beings, we're goal seeking.
Learn watercolor, something. Pick up a camera, try something. Keep digging through the toy box until you find the fucking G.I. Joe or the Transformer for you, right? Whatever it is to you. Right? When you find that one, but you still go through the toys, you give them a couple twists, okay, this one fucking sucks. And you grab the next one and you start playing with it, and then boom, you stop. When you find your toy, everybody's got that. When they open it up, you're like, that's the coolest one. Go find that one. But you do the work to get to that toy. Go in there and try out each one. Right? And don't worry about who's watching you. If you picked up a fucking Barbie, who cares? Play with it for a few minutes, see if you like it. If you don't, fucking move on.
Yeah. I mean, that's our happiness is when we're striving for something more, when we're learning and we're growing. If we're not growing, we're dying. And nothing in the universe stays the same. We're either growing or we're dying. So for me, not to have something that I'm reaching for, something I'm trying to work on, improve on, I think I go crazy. Like, it's just, there's no other fulfillment for me,
Yeah. Stagnant sucks. That's why when water doesn't move, it becomes stagnant. It
it'll kill you.
It's disgusting.
It'll keep you alive or it will kill you, depending on if it's in motion and what's growing in it.
In motion. Yeah. You said choice. You use the word choice a lot. And I like the word choice because choice infers action. And the only thing between you and success is action. If you are not moving or making a forward momentum towards something, then you are stagnant. You have to have action. That means making those choices to do new things, do different things, to go back to who you were originally. Life is a reset button because it's always now. Drop your sack of masks and start over. Who gives a fuck? right? Nobody can tell you can't.
Well, there's always tomorrow. Like, that's why I love tomorrow, because it's a brand new freaking day. Who cares what happened the past 30 years? You have tomorrow, which is a brand new day, and you can make a brand new future if you choose to, right?
Yeah.
And we
100% agree
compare
with
too
you.
much. So, Jay, like you said before, we're in this hyper competitive world and people like to compare
Mm.
themselves to others. I'm not in competition with anybody but myself. I'm not here to say, oh, I want to be better. If I compare myself to other people, yeah, I'll feel like crap because there's so many people that are 100 times more successful than me. So I'm just in a competition with myself. And instead of competing, you're here to create. Just create and your life will be better. Create anything. Create a nice dish at home. Create something. We were the creator, God, I don't know if you believe in that, but they created us. It created us. Our job is to create. So just go create anything and your life will be better.
Whatever you feel most passionately inclined to do is probably what you're supposed to be doing. You already know. Everybody already knows.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 18 to 80, blind, crippled, crazy. It does not matter. You know what you're supposed to be doing. There's a calling in you somewhere.
Jay, why do you think they know? Jay, why do you think they know?
Because
I
we're
agree.
born knowing.
Why do you think they were born knowing? Absolutely. They were given a gift. Every person who was born, the creator, God, whoever it is, put a gift inside of them on birth, right? So we all have something that we're meant to
I
bring
like to say living in the now is the gift, and it's called the present, and it's aptly named because it is a gift, right? It's always now, always now. I know that tomorrow is a beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing. I like to live, though, myself. My philosophy is to live as hard as I can in the moment. As hard as I can in this very moment, every time I get up, try to be the best version of me. Right. And if tomorrow creates something that requires me to change or adapt to, I'll adapt to it then. But just continue fanning my flame every single day.
And seek people who fan your flame. But I think that's great, staying in the present. But I think that everybody was born with a gift, Jay. That's what I feel like. Like you said, Gary
100%.
does music. I can speak to film. I think everybody is born with some sort of talent or gift that they just do naturally. And what I call it your X factor. So what is that thing that you can do naturally? Other people compliment you on it. You just know that you can do it. There's no thinking involved. And I think that's what
no thinking involved. That's the key.
Yeah.
If it's natural, if it just feels right, go that direction.
And you said something about finding people that fan your flame. Like I talk about that a lot. Like the people around you need to be your biggest fans. Like if people around you are not wishing the best for you, not supporting you, not, always, like I was saying, like hype your friends. Like I talk about my friends, constantly. And like, if I brag about something, it's usually not myself. It's like, oh, my friend just directed this, or my friend just won this award, or my friend's at the best restaurant in town. Like, you need that. Like the people around you, like if there's some good happens and like, they're not smiling, or, like, they know, but they don't like call to congratulate you or something, or, it's like not everybody doesn't have time to do that, but you could, which one of your friends or family members is like rooting for you, which ones don't give a shit, and which ones are actually against you. And like the quicker you could get the ones that are against you at least out of the way, and like spend more time and effort. Yeah, it's
against
like people
are all it is them not wanting you to succeed because it proves that they could have done it too.
Yeah. Or like we're put in competition at an early age sometimes. Like might be your grandparents, like your cousin better than you, or your, whatever, your brother was more successful in football in 6th grade and you never got over it. So like, or like you're, I don't know. It's like your success does not like hurt me in any way. Like we rise together. Like when my friends have had opportunities, like I get brought up. When I have opportunities, I bring them up. Like, I don't want to be the smartest one or the most successful one in the room. Like I want to be the dumbest and the least successful in the room, and, have people to learn from and grow with. And, I think like too many people, like instead of getting better, they want to stay around people that are worse, or in their mind worse. And then they'll always be number one.
Yep. Victim chair is super comfortable.
Your income is the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around with, right? That's what they say. And if you got to cut that
doing
person
math.
off.
I thought for a second, I'm like, how much do my friends make? Like, who's poor? Where am I? Like,
But it,
Bob makes
no,
50K. Like, like, oh man, dude. I've had a
It's-
genuinely good time talking to you today, Manny. I appreciate what you're doing and how you're trying to light a path for people to find their own greatness. And I think giving them that benchmark to live by post production is something that they'll benefit from as well. I can't thank you enough for choosing a path that is authentic to you and your own story and allowing people to see that it is a successful choice to be yourself.
Absolutely, any day. And I learned a lot from you, Jay. You're very wise and you have your own little Jayisms. So, I learned a lot from you guys as
Jayisms.
well. And
Just don't say jisms.
Yeah, I mean, that's where my mind.
Jay
That's
is a-
definitely gonna be the
saw
book.
Gary immediately. I had to head that off. He was gonna hit me with it, so I took away the power.
I'm like my humor's about that of like a 14-year-old on the back of the bus, like listening to the high schoolers. Like,
That's where we
But no,
live.
it's
That's
great.
A
I
sweet spot.
genuinely appreciate you being on here. Gary, you want to wrap up with anything?
I think definitely appreciate it as well, and I think you're fighting the good fight. And the more people like you out there being themselves, encouraging people to be themselves, and creating things that are both entertaining and educational, like I'm all for that. And it's the kind of people I definitely want to associate with.
Yeah. Look out for my film, The Cure, is coming out this summer, okay? If it's ever in the works, that's
If
by
it's as
me.
good as
We
the
got,
band, we're in.
Yes.
What?
I said if it's as good as the band, we're in. The Cure.
Yeah, it's
That
gonna
was a
be
dad
great.
joke. I'm working on this. I got-
Sorry, that went over my. But no, we got 10 practitioners from all over the world, from Canada, US, a lot of people from US in this film that jumped on with me on this project who supported my vision, Europe, Canada, from different areas of the health and wellness. And we're going to co-create change. My goal is to inspire global healing across the world and change hundreds of thousands of lives with this film. So, I'm really blessed and honored to be able to create this. And
I think
it'll be
that's an
interesting to
amazing
see what
cause.
impact it has.
And I think that holistic healing is going to move to the forefront with the advent of AI. I think that the minutia of digging through cases and studies and things like that are going to be left to a machine that can catalog things and come up with diagnoses. And we're giving doctors the opportunity to be empathetic and human again in a room with a patient and not living to a manual or a box of diagnoses or codes. They don't need to know whether it's an ICD-10. All they need to know that this is Kevin, right? And Kevin needs some help today, and I'm going to help him get through this process. And this machine's going to catalog what humans have going on right now, and it's going to keep getting smarter. Use AI, don't live through AI.
You nailed it. You nailed it, Jay. That's it. AI is going to be a game changer for sure.
It's how you use it. It's definitely how you use it. I think we fear things that we don't understand. That's simple as it is.
Everything's a tool.
Sure.
It's how you use the tool. Money is a tool. It's how you use the tool.
Should be. It shouldn't be anything but that, right? It's a tool to obtain food. It's a tool to obtain shelter. It's a tool to obtain water, for God's sakes. It's not anything. It's a biosurvivability ticket. I read that in a book somewhere. That is a great analogy for it. Everybody's working to get their biosurvivability tickets, which is stupid. When every other creature on the planet is just simply eating and hanging out, we're doing a job to go to get a meal, which is super weird. Doesn't make sense.
True.
Yeah.
They could get eaten at any
The
time.
lion doesn't put on an old green visor and do taxes before it eats its gazelle.
Yeah, but that gazelle got to worry about getting eaten all the time.
The gazelle's got time.
They got to get worried
Gazelle's
about.
like Carl's at work. He said, we're good for a while.
Could you imagine a lion in a drive-through? I'll have 2 gazelle, please.
2 gazelles.
Extra
Hold
blood.
the lettuce. Hold the lettuce. I'm not vegan.
Yeah, no one wants lettuce on their gazelle. Yeah.
Hot lettuce is disgusting and also a great band name. All right, let's get out of here, man. Manny, I appreciate you so much. Gary, I love you like a play cousin. Remember, everybody be cool and keep learning. I love you.